I left in April and I come home 2 years later in April. Well, I was very, as I said, very naive when I was young, and I was very quiet, but then being in charge, and then I was promoted, I forget when, to first lieutenant, so I had a lot of responsibility, and it sort of, you know, made me grow up. Well, the 6 that went overseas together, we stayed friends, and they're all gone. I'm the only one of that group. And then there, like, the hospital had been there, I don't know whether it was, must have been a year before I was assigned there, and so a lot of those nurses were sent home. And then they got replacements, like we were replacements for some of them that were sent home. And I got very friendly with several of them and was friends with them until they died. Eleanor Roosevelt, who was First Lady at the time, and she was a very charming woman, really very down to earth and lovely, lovely woman. And she shook my hand, and you know, we discussed that we were both Eleanors, and she asked each and every patient where they came from, and she knew something about the state.
Oh, really?
She was really, and she went to each and every patient.
In the hospital. Yeah. But you said you went out, though, while you were over there. You had,
oh, yeah, we had plenty of time more, because when we were busy, we worked 7 days a week. And one time a ship was torpedoed not far from the island, and we got the patients right from the that ship. And we had to make mattresses. We didn't have cots, and you know, and that we worked 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so when we were busy, we were very busy.
Right.
And then other times, you know, things slacked off. And once it slacked off, you got plenty of time off. Like, well, I had my first plane ride overseas, and at the time I was dating a fighter pilot, and my friend was dating his friend, and their airfield was stationed way up the other end of the island, so they flew down to take us to a dance, and on landing they had an accident. One of the wheels broke or whatever.
Oh my God.
So we had to wait until they repaired that.
At least you weren't on the plane.
And yeah, and then we had to sign. You know, we weren't authorized to go, so we had to sign our GI insurance over.
Oh my God.
And then on the way back, they were buzzing the fields. You know how they come down and sweep up. And that was. It should have been the most frightening thing, but it was really the most exciting thing at that time.
Yeah. Now, was there any moment in your life that took your breath away?
That I can't remember. I just remember what was breathtaking was the sunset and the sunrise over the islands in the Pacific.
Really?
It was really very hard to describe, but there was nothing like it. And you felt like if you got a ladder, you could touch the stars, and they were brilliant.
Wow.
Beautiful, really.
Now, you didn't meet Dad in the Army.
No.
It wasn't until after the two of you were home, right?
Yes, yeah. I was doing industrial nursing, and Dad was doing industrial sales, safety equipment. So once a year they'd have a convention in the Hotel Pennsylvania in New York City, and our New York office invited the nurses to dinner, and then we'd go back to the hotel, and the vendors had all booths where they were displaying their whatever they were selling. And we were supposed to look at that, you know, to see what we could use. And then most of the vendors had a room up, a hospitality room,
Right.
and we went up there after. And Dad was coming down in the elevator, and he met one of the men from the New York office.
Where you worked?
Where I worked. Well, I worked in Jersey
right.
City, but it was the New York office was just an office. And he said he had a nice Irish girl he wanted him to meet. So Dad was on his way home, and he really didn't want to go up, but the guy kept after him, so he went up and he met me, and as he said, it was love at first sight.
Love at first sight on his part. How long did you, what did you call it in those days? A courtship, right?
Yes.
Courting. How long did it take from the time you met him to the time you actually got married? Was it a long courtship?
About a year and a half, which at that time was short time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I think that would even be short now, probably.
yeah. But he knew right away because he was offered a job in California, and it was too early to ask me, and so he refused it, and it would have been, a pretty good job.
Wow.
He was pretty sure of himself.
Yeah, he was. I don't know why.
How many years were you married?
54 in a few months. And it was a very happy marriage, really. I was very lucky. Or he was too, the both of us were. Well, just to let them know I love all of them very, very much, and the happiest days of my life.
Yeah, okay. How does it feel to turn 90?
I woke up.
That's a big milestone.
Yeah, and I thought, I'm 90 years old and I'm still alive. I really couldn't believe it. I never thought I'd live that long.